A very good morning. Today I'll discuss regarding the process of central dogma as well as the structure of gene in case of prokaryotes and eukaryotes. So, whenever we study the concept of central dogma, we see that the central dogma is a process in which the DNA provides an information regarding the protein to be synthesized. That information is being taken by the RNA in the form of mRNA, and the mRNA finally leads to the process of protein synthesis. So this process of protein synthesis is what is the synthesis of various amino acids using from the ribosomes, and the various amino acids as a group. When a polymer of amino acid is a protein, and they are bounded by carboxyl bonds in between them. So whenever we see the structure of gene in case of prokaryotes and eukaryotes, we see that in case of prokaryotes, this process of structure of gene is not very complex. No, it's not a very complex process. Whenever we need to know the central dogma biology, we need to know the two steps, that is the transcription process and then the translation process. Transcription process is what? The process in which the information of the protein to be synthesized is given by the DNA to the RNA, and the process in which the information that is being received by the mRNA from the DNA is being, whenever it is being used to synthesize the protein, it is known as a translation, and it is done, already it has been mentioned, it is done through the synthesis of the amino acids from the ribosomes with the help of tRNA. So we need to study structure of prokaryote and eukaryote. In one thing is that because there are specific differences in terms of the structure of the gene, and before knowing the structure of the gene, we always need to see the differences in terms of the prokaryotes and the eukaryotes. In one respect, the first is that in case of prokaryotes, we do not have introns, that is the non-coding DNA, but in case of eukaryotes, we have introns in addition to exons, and that introns has to be kicked out so that the process of this translation gets better. So whenever we see the structure of these prokaryotes and eukaryotes, we see that this double-stranded structure. In case of prokaryotes, we see that the transcription process is not a very critical or a complex process. It's a normal process having the 5' and 3' end complementary to the DNA, and we see that after the mRNA is formed, we see the formation of the proteins. The formation of mRNA is the transcription process, and later the formation of the proteins through the combination of various amino acid is a translation process, and it is done through the help of these tRNAs. In case of eukaryotes, the process of transcription and translation is not an easy case. It's a complex process in which the transcription is a bit easy, in which with the help of RNA polymerase II, it synthesizes the pre-mRNA, but the complexity arises in the way because we have introns in it. Introns need to be improved, needs to be removed, but exons are of coding DNA and are of useful to the mRNA. So whenever the RNA processing is being done, there are two steps, that is on the left and on the right. On the 5' end, there is a methylguanosine cap that is to improve its stability, and on the 3' end of that mRNA, we have the poly A tail. So this poly A tail also is a matter of stability, but this 5' this methylguanosine cap is to basically to prevent this mRNA from any of the enzymes which will destabilize it. Whenever this process is being done, the methylguanosine cap at the 5' end and the poly A tail at the 3' end, the process of translation begins, and this translation is similar to the prokaryotes with the help of tRNAs. But one thing to remember in terms of prokaryotes and eukaryotes, in terms of central dogma biology, is that the process of translation and transcription is continuous in case of prokaryotes. It occurs in the same, that is on the same cell. There is no division of the transcription and translation process. But in case of eukaryotes, the process of transcription and translation is divided, it is fragmented. There are two compartments. The transcription takes place in the nucleus, and the translation takes place in the cytoplasm. Thank you. A very good morning to all of you. Today I'll discuss about the role of bioinformatics in drug discovery. We all know that bioinformatics has a very important role in terms of research, in terms of the day-to-day activities related to medicines development. And we see that bioinformatics, which started around 3 decades back, it basically related to the development of the Human Genome Project, and now this bioinformatics has a very important role in terms of drug discovery. Whenever we see the concept of drug discovery, we need to see, the first thing is that what is the disease involved. That means the first we need to identify the disease. The second is we need to find a protein that is causing the disease. When the protein is found which is causing the disease, that protein can be found out in the biological database of under the arena of bioinformatics, because we have different databases, that is NCBI and then DDBJ, then EMBL. They have different databases regarding DNA and even proteins, structure of protein as well as the 3D structures. So whenever we want to target a disease, we need to destabilize the protein that is causing the disease. For that case, we basically see in the literature various plants which are being used, and research is going on that whether the plants, regarding the plants utility, how the plants are effective in terms of the chemical constituents, and we also need to see the medicinal use in terms of ethnicity, ethnic use, and then we'll go for analysis of the chemical constituents. Whenever the chemical constituents are found a bit effective, are found a bit compatible with the protein, that is basically done through the process of bioinformatics, where we can see the ligand and the protein binding. The ligand is the plant constituents, that is the chemical constituents of the plant, which will be targeting the protein. So the main concept is a ligand protein binding. This ligand protein binding, the structures we can get it from the bioinformatics database, from the protein software, protein database, their 3D structures, and through bioinformatics software we can see the ligand protein binding. Whenever the ligand protein binding is good and very compatible, we can see that the ligand will destabilize the protein that is responsible for causing the disease. So whenever we go for drug discovery process, the first and foremost thing that we need to know is that the ligand protein binding should be good. Whenever the ligand protein binding is good, we can see the disease can be eliminated, eradicated. And in order to see the factors to improve improve and how the reaction is going on, we can also go for molecular dynamics simulations, advanced form of this drug discovery process. And interestingly, for targeting the COVID-19 virus, since the spike protein in it is responsible for attaching or adhering to any human body, that spike protein is being targeted by all the bioinformatics companies to destabilize the spike protein, and efforts are going on using various hypertensive, anti-cholesterol, anti-fever, and other disease and other medicines that are available, and they have found out very good results in terms of these medicines being used. Some have found very good results with the anti-cholesterol and anti-hypertensive drugs. And we do feel that in the times to come, this bioinformatics, the softwares, and this field of drug discovery will be much beneficial in terms of drug discovery. Thank you.